Welcome back to Spark University's Spark TV. I'm Javon, your personal success strategist, and each week I provide tools and tips to enhance your personal performance, productivity, and accountability so that way you can design a life that is meaningful and purposeful to you. So, friend, can we just do something different today? I just want to talk to you for a moment. Is that okay? Can we just talk? So, I remember when I was in college, and I'm about to date myself, so back off a little bit. But when I was in college, it used to be quarters, right? And I remember there was a time when I had dropped out of school, and basically life just kind of got in the way. You know what I'm saying? So I was living on my own. I had accumulated bills. I started making grown folk decisions, and that means I had grown folk bills, right? So when you're making grown folk bills, you got to make some decisions that that kind of conflict with what you want to do. And at the time I was working at the hospital, and when I was working at the hospital, my schedule was conflicting with my school schedule. Well, I had rent to pay, I had car note to pay, I had bills to pay, stuff like that. So work took the priority and school took the back seat, and I ended up dropping out. And when I dropped out, I used to be, at that time, I was an education major. And when I was an education major at that time, you can get a license for like K through 8 at the time. So my certification was going to be kindergarten through 8th grade. And when I dropped out, I only had 2 quarters left, which equates to what I guess what would be a semester now. But I only had 2 quarters left. And I remember my dad was talking to me and everything. He was like, Javon, when are you going to go back to school? I was making enough money. It wasn't really a priority to me at the time. And we're going to talk about priorities a little later too. But it wasn't really a priority to me at the time. And later I ended up having my son, and I ended up realizing that I wanted to encourage him to go to college. And so I felt, how can I encourage him to go to college if I didn't finish, right? So I decided to go back to school. Well, when I finally decided to go back to school, everything has changed. Friend, time waits for no one, right? So, and I learned that the hard way. When I went back, it was no longer quarters, it was now semesters. What happened to be only 2 quarters now end up being 2 years. I remember I went to go see my advisor at the time. My advisor was Dr. Poole, and he was a wonderful person. And I went to go speak to Dr. Poole, and Dr. Poole, I was like, look, I just want to get up out of here. What do I got to do to graduate, to get out of here? And he was like, so I had like a double major at the time. And he was like, well, if you go the education route, education had changed the curriculum. So now it was no longer K through 8. It was like K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, right? So if I wanted to go back to school and finish my education degree, now I had to go back and pretty much almost do the whole program pretty much all over again, rather than just my student teaching, because that's all I had left was my student teaching to do. And I was like, I ain't about to do all that. So what can I do so I can get up out of here? We looked at my credits. Well, my double major, I was an English major. So he was like, well, if you want to get out of here, you can do English. You can complete your English degree, and then you can graduate. And if you want to go back for education, you can go back for your certification. So I was like, 2 years. Like, that's a lot. I'm not sure if I want to do 2 years. I went from 2 quarters to 2 years. So I remember I went home and I was talking to my dad. My dad was like, so Javon, what did you decide to do? I was like, Dad, I ain't doing that. They talking about I have 2 years to go, and I'm not about to put in 2 years when I only had 2 quarters. And my daddy said something to me that stuck with me forever. And he was like, Javon, regardless of what you do, 2 years is going to come and go. The question is, at the end of those 2 years, where are you going to be? Are you going to have that degree at the end of 2 years? Or are you going to be in the same position that you're in now? And I thought about that, and at first I was angry, because that wasn't, the answer I really wanted to hear. Because, I wanted him to sympathize with me and be like, 2 years? And I thought about that, and I was like, you're right. 2 years is going to come and go. So I ended up going back to school. I completed my degree in English. British literature is my area of concentration, right? British literature. I love it though. And I ended up later going back that summer, and I enrolled in a different college, but they had a teacher certification program. And I ended up getting a degree, my certification for 6 through 12, because I had already had some of those classes before. And because I already had some of those classes with my English degree, I ended up coming out with a certification in like English and communications. So, because communications was my minor. And I say all that to say this. Sometimes in life, things don't go the way that we want them to go, right? It can be, life just happens to play its role, right? And we find ourselves at a crossroad, and then we have to decide, what path are we going to take? And sometimes it might feel kind of discouraging. And some of that has to do with the role that you played in the whole situation. Procrastination, priorities, or the lack thereof. But you have to decide, what is it that you want? What do you want to accomplish? And where do you see yourself at 2 to 5 years from now, right? And my dad was right. 2 years came and went. I'm just thankful that at the end of those 2 years, I chose to move forward, to quit making excuses, and go ahead and obtain that degree. For you, my friend, if you find yourselves right now at the crossroads and you're trying to decide, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to put all the energy into this? Is there a different route? Finding a different route, it's okay. As long as you get to the same destination that you wanted to get to, right? But you just have to determine what is important to you. And once you determine what really matters to you, then suck it up and put in the work. So that way you can get to that point B, because that's where you want to be. And I could have talked myself out of that whole situation and just been like, 2 years, man, I don't want to put in 2 years. Because it was just such a disappointment to me at the time. But at the end of those 2 years, when I looked back and I saw that, I was like, man, I'm so glad I did it. So what did you say that you were going to do last year, and now a whole year has passed? Are you walking in your truth right now? Are you doing what you said that you wanted to do at that time, or at this time? And forget last year. January is gone, right? Can you believe it's already February? 30 days ago, what did you set out for your path to be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year from now? Are you walking in that path? So I encourage you today to remember, time waits for no man. You have to decide what is important for you or to you, and what are you willing to sacrifice for now so you can get that later, right? So you can get what it is that you're trying to obtain right now. Because sometimes you have to, remember we talked about those priorities? Sometimes you just have to sacrifice some things, the right now, the instant, the gratification for right now, So that way you can get the gratification farther down the road. And sometimes we just don't want to do that. Real talk. I didn't want to do that at the time. I was making decent money, you know. That meant for me to go back to school, at that time, a single parent, and that meant I had to give up my full-time job because remember, that was the conflict, right? So did I want the money then, which was, it was all right, or did I want to be walking in my purpose later? You know what I'm saying? So I had to give that up for the moment. So basically, I had to decide. I had to choose what was important to me. What was my priority? I had to decide to give up my right now, the comforts of the right now, so that I can have the benefits of the tomorrow, right? And there was a lot of sacrifices made along the way, but the end result far outweighed those sacrifices. So I want to encourage you. It's never too late to begin. You just have to choose to start, right? You can't get there if you don't start. And like I said, those 2 years came and went. I have a lot of people who say to me now, Javon, I want to do this and I want to do that. And they make up all these excuses, or they share their circumstances at the time, or they voice their fears. And the question I pose to them is the same question that my dad posed to me, which is the same question I pose to you today. Regardless of what you do, 2 years is going to come and go. The question is, where are you going to be 2 years from now? Are you still going to be at the starting gate, waiting to take off? Or are you going to see yourself at that finish line, reaping the benefits of all the things that you said that you wanted to achieve? So I encourage you to stop waiting and to start walking in your purpose and to do the things that you need to do, or make the sacrifices you need to make now, so that way you can obtain that blessing or that accomplishment or that achievement later. Okay? So if you are ready to begin your journey and you are tired of sitting at that start gate, right? And you want more, but you just don't know where to begin, or you want more, but you're not sure of the plan quite yet, or what it is that you want to do. Because some of us, we want more, we want better. We just don't know what it is that we just know we're tired of this right now. And we just don't know what it is that we want later, right? So if that's you, I encourage you to visit SPARKNUniversity.com for additional resources, because there you will find the things that will get you started, things that will help you to gain the clarity that you need. Join the Kindling group, because sometimes it's just that motivation that you need to keep you pushing and moving forward, right? And if you want more of an interactive and someone to hold your hand and to guide you along the process, then join my Get Up, Shake, and Move course. And that starts in March. So there's so many different options. Choose today, not tomorrow. Choose today to start living your life boldly, passionately, and purposefully. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.